Welcome back. Today I'm going to listen to the Band-Maid song called Dice. It's the last song on the album World Domination that I haven't yet done a reaction for. And I have a special connection to it because it's the first Band-Maid song that I listened to. And I say listened to rather than heard because I had heard two Band-Maid songs before when I watched the movie Kate. I didn't know who Band-Maid was at that time, but Blooming and Choose Me, those two songs were in my unconscious mind by the time I actually heard of Band-Maid. Now, before I heard of them, what I was doing was realizing that I was becoming just like a lot of people who, when they get older, they stick to listening to the music that they grew up with, and they quit moving along with the times when music changes and new genres come out, new subgenres, or old genres are revived or mixed, new bands come out and so forth, and you just get bored of trying to find new music. And I was listening to the same hard rock bands and, semi-metal bands that I had listened to 20 or 30 years earlier. But that's how I got into watching reaction videos, because I would be searching for the name of a song that I knew, and I would find somebody had reacted to it. I'd never heard of that before, so I started watching some of those with my kids because they were funny. Some were better than others, but just like you, I came across a few reactors whose opinions I respected and, whose videos I actually enjoyed watching, and several of them had reactions to Band-Maid. And every time I saw the thumbnail, I would kind of hesitate because it looked a little odd to me. I knew nothing about the Japanese music scene. I knew nothing about maid culture or maid cafes or any of this stuff. I had just barely heard of cosplay, for that matter. But I wasn't really familiar with it, and I just saw these, women dressed as maids and thought, well, that can't really be an actual rock band, and so I would just go past it. But every time I would see a reactor that I had respected had a reaction to Band-Maid, I thought more and more about it, and eventually I did. Eventually, I watched a reaction by Tank the Tech. I don't know if you've heard of his channel or not, but he was one of the reactors I was watching at the time, and the first song that he listens to by Band-Maid was Dice, and I watched that video, and the song was good enough to keep me coming back. But I haven't listened to it in a long time, and I don't know that I've ever listened to it on good headphones, so I'm going to do that here today. And to make this video as short as possible, since I had a really long intro, I'm just going to skip straight to the music video and then watch the live, and skip the whole audio-only portion. Okay, I don't know why this little circle is spinning on the screen. Hopefully the song has loaded. It looks like I am connected to the internet, so let's just click play. And if I remember correctly, this song opens with the drums and the bass, and that caught my attention right away the first time that I heard it. I'll back up to catch the beginning of the vocals, but yeah, this sound is so good, and I've been talking about it for several albums, how the bass tone sounds so good, and unlike most other bass guitar sounds or tones that I've heard in the past, and the guitar on this album has improved, in my opinion, from previous Band-Maid albums to the sound that I really enjoyed, and I have heard a lot of in the past, and the way that those combine here in this intro is just magnificent. And I remember when hearing for the first time that not only did it sound really good, and the video looked like it was really high quality, but even though you can't see their faces at the beginning, like in this shot, well, you can tell it's not a guy. And here it's a little harder to tell, but again, you're pretty sure, wait, these are women. And I knew they were women from the, the thumbnails with the maid outfits, but what percentage of rock bands, and especially hard rock bands that I've listened to in the past, were all men, or sometimes had one woman here and there? And so that definitely caught my attention, that each time it shows a new member of this band, this was a woman. And I began to realize this is an all-female band, which is rare. Not as rare as it used to be, but it's rare in my listening repertoire. And so it kind of had the effect of opening a bigger, broader world for me, because in the past, if I wanted to listen to mostly women singers or mostly women whatever, I would have to go to pop music. They get pretty rare when you get to rock, and I assume even more rare when you get into metal. And again, I'm talking about in my time. I understand it's more common now, but that caught my attention right away. And then like everybody else, it caught my attention that they switched from English to Japanese, and I'm glad that there are subtitles, captions available on a lot of these videos. I've backed up just a little bit here to catch the intro of the vocals again. Yeah, that guitar sounds really good.
Everybody cheers, I
also was a big fan of how the tone of the song changed when it went into the chorus. This chorus sounds upbeat and almost poppy. It's a much fuller, happier sound than the little bit of, harder, grungier sound of the verse, which is fine too. But I definitely noticed, the change-ups of the way that the drum pattern was and the other instruments too. They're moving things around and interchanging parts of the composition to just catch your attention at every turn. And I don't really have a lot of comments on the video itself. There's a weird kind of doll in there. I don't get what that's about. But I'm not a huge connoisseur of music videos because when I was a kid, I was the house that didn't have MTV when it came out, in the early 80s, whenever that was. And so anytime I did see a music video, it was really cool. But I didn't see a lot of them until, well into adulthood. I'm here mostly for the audio and also to watch them play instruments. That's fun. I do like videos that have a story, but again, this one just kind of goes back and forth from them playing the instruments and singing to the doll or the girl holding the doll. I'm not sure what that has to do with the song. Sorry to pause again so quickly, but that is, of course, the point of this video is for me to say what I thought and react to this. But I don't know that I caught it the first time that I heard the song. It might have taken a few more songs and maybe a few more times listening to this song. But already in this very first song by Band-Maid that I listened to, they've done the thing where they change it in the second verse and it's different than the first verse. In this one, the music has changed. Again, they've taken those moving parts and shifted them around and it still works. And here you have Konami doing a little bit of a different guitar riff behind the vocals and it feels like you have a different drum pattern here. I don't know if it's designed to catch your attention, but for me, that's what it does. It keeps me engaged, even when I'm not watching the video, even when I'm just listening in earbuds or whatever. All the songs they have that do this, where they change the pattern each time, you're like, wait, that's different. I like that. I'll back up and catch the roll into this little bass feature here, but I also love the message of the song. The parts that I catch, there's some parts that they just seem like words strung together to me, but there are phrases that you can take out and use as quotes, like nobody's time is meaningless. You can take each one of those a number of different ways, but I think all of them come out with positivity and encouragement, encouraging you to be a better person and enjoy life. There's a lot to like about this song, and it really fits with the theme of this album, which is this harder, darker sound that they've come up with. They've changed slightly from previous albums, but at the same time being bright and cheerful and encouraging, and it's just perfect.
Cold
do remember noticing when I first heard this that I don't know that I'd ever heard a bass feature like that leading into the guitar solo. It's possible that I had and I just didn't remember it, but that stood out to me as well, that was unusual. I also wanted to mention that I noticed here that Miku was playing that riff in the background, and then when the camera moved, the big concrete pillar went by. You see that Konami's doing it too, but she's looking over her shoulder watching Miku do it, making sure that they're, doing the right thing together. And of course I didn't know when I first saw this that, Miku was relatively new to the guitar, hadn't been playing it all her life like some people in these bands. But now that I know that, there's kind of a sense of achievement here that, she's making a major musical contribution to the song besides the background vocals, or co-vocals as you might call it. Well, I hit the shortcut key by accident, but it came back to what I was going to talk about anyway, which is, I just wanted to say again, I really love the sound that they've got out of the guitar on this album, but especially in this song. It's not the best song on the album, in my opinion, and it may not even be in the top 3, but it's a good, solid, interesting rock song with a catchy vocal melody, impressive guitar solo, beautiful bass feature, encouraging message. You can't find fault in it. And depending on who you're trying to introduce this band to, it may not be the best song to start with, but for me, it was a good, solid song to start with. It was enough to catch my attention and make me realize that this is actually serious. The Maid outfits aren't even relevant, which that was the thing that was bothering me, that was holding me back from watching them, listening to them. But this got me past that, so I was able to go on and listen to Play and Freedom and eventually Domination and so on. But anyway, I know there's a live version of this that's combined with Different, but I haven't got to Different yet in my chronological journey, so I'm just going to do the Dice half of that video. All right, we've switched over to the Dice Different video, and I understand that the reason they put two songs together was in order to get, I think there was some government funding available for different entities during the pandemic in Japan, and one of the qualifications for this sort of thing was that it had to be a certain length, and their songs weren't that long, so they stuck two songs together to make a little, live show here out of this video. At least something like that. Don't take my word, as absolute gospel on that. But I am just going to listen to the Dice half of this, and then I'll listen to the other half of it when I get to the song Different, which I believe came out on a single. Anyway, I've been looking forward to watching this for quite some time because, I've been putting it off as I go through the chronological journey. Let's go. Dice live, May 10th, 2021. Oh, that bass sounds so much better here.
You are
will just say that the guitar doesn't sound as loud or as powerful here in this version of the audio, at least to me, the way that my system is set up. But the bass sounds much fuller and it's standing out more. But both of them are more separated than they were in the studio track mix. So once again, I want to give props to the people that Band-Maid has recording their live sessions. This is amazing. And I didn't know when I watched this video for the first time that there was no audience. It took me a while to notice that something was a little off about the performance and that they're spending a lot more time looking at the cameras than they were in, say, Freedom or Play or Domination videos that I had, live versions that I had seen before. And of course, you just have to scroll through the comments in this live video here to see the people explaining the fact that it was an online only show due to the pandemic. Regardless, it sounds really good. I prefer the guitar sound in the studio track, at least so far, but I prefer the bass sound here. I think the vocals might be slightly better here than they were in the studio track, which is really rare. Miku's contributions definitely sound good here, and she's blending so well with Psyche, as we've talked about before. That was another set of lines. Sorry to pause again so soon, but another set of lines here that that were just really meaningful to me the first few times that I heard this song. We all carry some kind of burden, living with worries and regrets, and sometimes we need a reminder that you're not doing this alone. Your worries and burdens and whatever might be your own, but you're not the only one doing it, and we all know that. But it's helpful to to be reminded. And anyway, it was meaningful to me the first time I heard it. That's probably not the best freeze frame there, but let's keep going. Yeah, that was just really fun. And again, the sound is slightly different, but I think by the end, maybe my ears had adjusted, or maybe they had adjusted the sounds, but I was starting to hear the guitar a little bit higher in the mix, but the bass is just beautiful in this. It's not the same bass that she was playing in the video. I don't know what she played on the studio track, but this one feels a little bit of a rounder tone, whereas in the studio track, it sounded a little bit edgier, but both sounded really good. And this song, I liked it from the beginning. It was enough to get me hungry for more, or at least curious for more. And 3 or 4 songs in, I knew I had found my new band, and I wasn't going to be that guy that just listens to the music he loved from high school over and over again. And 10 or 20 songs in, I realized I might not even listen to those songs at all anymore, those old ones, because these are just better. And now that I own a stack of these albums, I'm realizing that I've never listened to anything as consistently good or as fun as these songs, especially when taken as a group. It's been such an amazing ride. This is where it started for me. Let me know in the comments, what was your first song by Band-Maid that you remember? Or if you're not sure, your first couple, I'm always curious about that. What was the song that made you go, this is a band I want to listen to? As always, I appreciate all of you being here. I love the comments that so many of you leave, the detailed things, even those of you that disagree with me. I mean, that's fine. A lot of music, obviously, is a matter of taste. We all like Band-Maid, but sometimes we like different things about them. And we're not quite done with this album yet. I was ready to move on, but somebody sent me a link to a live version of Carry On Living, which I want to do in my next video before we move on to whatever came after this. So that's what we have to look forward to. I'll see you then. Let me know in the comments, what was your Band-Maid first song? Let me know in the comments. Blah, blah, blah.